Ritika, first of all, great to have you with us over here.
Thank you.
To, begin proceedings in all earnesty on day 2 of World Travel and Tourism Festival. Ladies and gentlemen, as we all know, it goes on for another day tomorrow as well. Last night was the Papon concert, and we have the awards night tonight as well. So make sure, you catch that and you're here for that to see. And then, of course, we hope to see you back here on Sunday. But Ritika, destination weddings. I mean, when it comes to the travel and tourism industry, you can't underestimate the power and the contribution of destination weddings as means and end for a travel. Talk to us. You belong to a legacy in luxury, and something that has been defining luxury for generations now. What is it like, being part of that legacy and catering to today's consumer?
Thank you so much. I think, like you rightfully said, I think we are very blessed to have actually a very unparalleled legacy. We're almost 120 years plus now. And, from our first hotel, the Taj Mahal Palace, that opened up in 1903, to our youngest hotel that just is scheduled to open next week, I think we are creating memories of a lifetime for young couples, their families. When I say young, it's just young at heart. It's not about the age. It's not about the age. And creating memories of a lifetime for them, because, weddings are very special. You're always going to remember what you ate, what you drank, where it was, who was nice to you, how your makeup looked. And I think today we have third generation, individuals who come to us who are planning their weddings with us. So I think it's a legacy that we uphold for India. In a very traditional society, they're very traditional still. And yet they're all the trappings of, what the modern world is all about. There's digital, there's AI, there's bespoke menus, all of that.
Can I ask you something? It's interesting in couples these days, go to a Taj for everything from a staycation to an engagement to a wedding.
That's right? True. And magical moments when you also go back and propose to your better half to be in that. So I think, it's just something that has happened very organically for us. So just to put it in perspective, think of a wonderful hotel like the Taj Lake Palace, Udaipur. It's 278 years old. It sits in the middle of Lake Pichola. It's magical. And there are many couples who have come there to just go back and initiate their life together. At one hand. On the other hand, you also have the wonderful beaches in Goa. And, when I think about the couples who have solemnized their prayers in Goa, which is meant to be like, it is, of course, a very relaxed destination. But, you take a look at Taj Exotica, or you take a look at the Fort Aguada or the Taj Holiday Village. There is a huge equity that I think our properties have. And that comes because of experience and of creating the memories for the clients. So I think it's a joint legacy. People, you want to be with us. You want to spend the time to build that connection with us. And I think it's both ways. I don't know if that answers.
No, it does. Of course, it's both ways. That's the beauty of it all. Taj has been loving catering to the Indian consumer. In fact, or for that matter, Indian consumer anywhere in the world.
Yes.
And at the same time hosting all sorts of hosts from across the world as well. And it's been a preferred choice from their end as well. I was telling you this before we got on stage. I grew up in Chennai. The Taj Connemara in Chennai was iconic. Was a synonym for luxury growing up. So what you said totally answers what I was asking. The other thing I want to ask you is that, so since you're talking about the third generation and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere the numbers say that India spends over $100 billion a year.
Yes.
130 plus billion dollars a year.
We were discussing that.
We were discussing that, in weddings. And that is 1/6 of the global wedding market.
It is.
So a huge chunk of that in India goes to yours.
Yes.
So tell us in terms of what is changing really as far as, weddings and destination weddings are concerned.
So, I think at the heart of every wedding, what a bride and a groom want remains the same. But I'm sure when you take a look at the way that the society is changing, perhaps 30, 40 years ago, the parents had a larger role to go back and choose what somebody would go back and eat, what they would feed their guests, how they would go back and welcome, what would be the rituals. Interestingly, the traditional aspect of the weddings is still there. But I think what is changing is that today, younger Indians are traveling the world. They are traveling India, so they are discovering what they would like for themselves. And they're very aware. So, from the fact that some of them are very keen to make sure that every wedding that they do and everything for the wedding is very bespoke, but is also very mindful of the planet that we live in. So, what are some of the green things that we are doing for that? Right from the way the menu is, they don't want very wasteful, kind of probably show and setup. To probably the other kind who want to go back and have very extravagant weddings, but with a lot of soul. And I think that is something that makes it very special for the families today. Plus, I think with India's growing, I would say, recognition on the global stage, right? The Indian diaspora, which is across the world and across the globe, is also coming back to India a lot more than it did to make sure that they are celebrating and are being together with families. So I think that is some of the things that we are seeing. From not everything is a big fat Indian wedding. Some people also like very intimate nuptials where they only want their very close family and friends. But they want to make sure that they go through all the rituals in a very considered manner. So they spend that time, I think, at some of our hotels to make sure that they leave the overall, arrangements to everybody else, and they can focus on what is really meaningful for them, which is the interactions with each other during that time.
Lovely, great to hear that the decision making is changing. So who you're marketing to is also changing because of that, I'm guessing.
So, the younger brides and the groom and their family, I think it's a family affair. It's not only one or two. But of course, I think there's always a tussle between the bride and the parents on how they would like to go back and see. And, from the color palette to the food or what they want to the gifts they'd like to give, how they would like to welcome their guests.
But there's a power shift.
There is a power. There is a power shift. I think, parents were always very accommodating of the children. And I think they are probably a little bit more indulgent now than they were in the past.
Right. Interesting to know that has ramifications in other things in the world as well. The other thing I want to ask is that, from what I understand, from what I hear, you are also coming up with a gateway brand.
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit about that?
Actually, it's a young brand that has been launched earlier this year. Now, not this year, but sorry, because I'm in 2025. So, last year. And Gateway, as the name suggests, is about the gateway to destinations. Yeah, it's like a gateway to the destination. And, with the way India is actually really growing across the different micro markets, there are some beautiful destinations that are part of this brand. So, from a very wonderful hotel in Nasik, our Gateway Nasik Hotel, which is about spread in like 22 acres of land. So it's like the gateway to Nasik, which of course now everybody knows as the wine country. And of course we also go for it's our Napa Valley. From there to the beautiful, backwaters in Kerala in Bekal, which is a beautiful hotel called Taj, the Gateway Bekal. And it's set, right next to a lagoon. So there are destinations which are very synonymous with who they are. And I think it also allows younger India, which is in different cities, to get a lot more familiarized with, because, weddings are happening everywhere. People are traveling everywhere. It's not that it's just in Delhi or Mumbai. And I think that's what makes the Gateway brand a very, very special brand for us. And, I think the hotels also go back and pride themselves on creating and crafting wonderful memories, which are very rooted in who they are in the destinations that they are.
I'm curious to know this, when it comes to weddings, the approach to a wedding is very different, within the country. And I'm sure it's different, by Indians who are diaspora Indians. What are can you tell us some of the curious differences that you saw, in the way destination weddings happen at Taj properties in the north and the south of the country?
Yes, we discussed this also. I think what is happening is, there's of course a lot of culture that moves and a lot of traditions that move between the various parts of the country. But I think the North has a lot more colorful and probably a lot more larger and I would say a lot more weddings which are around the various senses, which includes the dancing and making sure that, there are a lot of rituals like that. Similar rituals are there in the South as well. But I think there it's a lot about, you see.
Being understated?
Yeah, that's what you said. So yes, they're not all understated. See, I think it depends on the people and the family and how they and their friends are and what they want to kind of go back and create for themselves. So it's very interesting. As I was driving over here today, I was noticing, that there are tulips in the city of Delhi all over now. And I was noticing that there are videos which are being made. And that's why it was quite interesting to see the beautiful women and, very stately young men on Shanti Path, and they're just walking down and you could see videographers behind them. So the thing is that for India today, there are dreams and memories being created everywhere. So I wouldn't want to call it a North and a South at all, but I think there are culture and traditions in both sides which are very interesting. And I think as India
which market is more booming?
Which part is just...
Which market is the most...
Is booming. It's across the country.
Okay.
Think about it. I mean, look at...
National unity is there.
National unity is there everywhere. Even the Prime Minister said you should do your I do's in India. And I'm sure you've seen the Incredible India campaign around that. And it beautifully showcases the various, even the Northeast. I mean, there are a lot of people who want to go and there's a very, very active search which people want to go back and do in some of those very exotic locations. Some people just want to get off the flight and get into a hotel, and some people want to make sure that the journey is a little longer. So, it's par for the course for everyone.
Fantastic. It's great, talking about this with you, Ritika. I've understood so much about, with destination weddings and the wedding market per se in the last 15 minutes than ever before. Thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here at the World Travel and Tourism Festival. Great to be speaking to you. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause for Ritika Gupta.
Thank you so much. Thank you.